Hello and welcome to the channel. I'm Chris LeComte, although you may have known me through the years as referee or Mr. Official. This is the final video in my series on head ref and AR teamwork, and this is a guide for what needs to be done before the game starts. So I've covered positioning during the game, and I've covered how to communicate during the game, but now let's take a look at what needs to be done before a game starts so that you get off on the right foot and that you can do all of those other crucial things. Let's dive in. So let's get into preparing before a game as a Quidditch referee crew. So how to get yourselves ready, the teams ready, and the field ready to all start a game. Now, starting a game has about 5 different elements. So in the pregame, you have to get ready, and there are about 5 things that need to be done, even as an AR, to get the game started. So in this case, first is the arrivals. So you have to actually show up at the field. Then you have the referee meeting between all the referees, all of the officials involved, and the head referee to get yourselves all on the same page. Then you have an equipment check typically. Not every game necessarily will have an equipment check of the teams, but there is an equipment check. Then the field preparation steps. You have to prepare the game balls and the field and get everything ready. And then finally, the game has to actually get started. You have to have the start of the game. So when you arrive, you need to be punctual. So when you show up on time, that means you have time to get yourself ready. You have time to get yourself a drink of water. You have time to, if you don't know a rule, if you're not certain on a rule, you have time to look up that rule. You could bust out a rule book. You could ask a fellow teammate, hey, what is third ledger interference? How do immunity claims work? How do those sorts of things work? You also have time to meet the teams. This could mean if you don't know the teams or if they're friendly or they seem friendly enough, you might actually talk to a player or two on both teams just to get to know the teams a little bit or talk to the captain for a bit. But this also just means, what teams are these? What are these 2 teams? Who are they? Where did they come from? Oh, okay. And then understanding, what does this game mean for those teams? Is this a meaningless game that doesn't really affect either team very much? Is this a game between a really good and a really high level and a really low level team? Is this a game between 2 really close teams that's likely to be a slugfest? Are these 2 physical teams? Then okay, we're gonna have a lot of physicality going on, right? You have time to meet the teams. And when the teams see the referee crews all standing around at the scorekeeper table or moving around getting the field ready, they're going to remain calm and confident. They're going to be like, hey, this is great. The refs are already here. We don't have to worry about whether the ref crew is going to get here on time. If you're coming to the game late, that means you're going into the game on your back foot. You haven't gotten the drink of water you needed. You haven't looked up the rules you aren't sure of. You're going in the game on your back foot, and it's really, really hard to catch back up and get back into the game this way. You also don't know the teams, you don't know the situations, which means you don't know what to prepare for. If one team is super physical and the other isn't, you don't know that. You don't know how to prepare for that and to get ready to watch those kinds of plays. In this case, the teams will also be anxious, agitated, and angry. They will be not thrilled with the fact that you're late. You're showing up late. The teams are like, let's go, let's go, let's go. We are waiting. Where have you been? Let's go, let's go, let's go. They already don't like you. You don't want teams to start the game anxious. You would like them to start the game calm and then ideally stay calm the whole game. But you don't want them to start out anxious or agitated or angry or upset in any way. You just want to keep everything nice and calm. Okay. Now, once you've arrived at the field, the next step is to have a referee meeting with all of the officials involved in the game. To have this referee meeting go off smoothly, once you've arrived at the field for your game, do not leave. If you need your water bottle filled or the bathroom, go before. Once you arrive at the field, do not leave. What do not leave means, it means you must remain within both sight and earshot of the head referee and the score table until the referee meeting is over. If you are standing there with nothing else to do, you should learn the names of the officials for the match. So you should know who the other ARs are if you're an AR. If you're the head ref, learn who the ARs are, learn who your goal judges are, learn who your scorekeeper and timekeeper are. Using people's names rather than positions is usually a lot faster, a lot more efficient way to communicate across the field with other referees. If you already know the names of everyone, learn their roles. What roles are you doing? Oh, you're an AR? I'm also an AR. Great. Oh, hold on, we have 3 ARs and no snitch ref? Well, one of us has to snitch ref, and you can start working out troubleshooting those problems before they become a big problem. Once the referee meeting is started, make sure you get assignments from the head ref for starting the game. At the end of this video, I'll explain more what it means to get assignments for starting the game and during the game. As a referee, I run the standard quadrant system. So I run a standard uh, divide by 4 quadrant system. And if you watch my video on positioning during the seeker floor, you will see exactly what I mean by that standard quadrant system. There are other referees. For example, Michael Clark Polner, McP runs a different system where he has, I think, 2 ARs are watching bludgers as they go up and down, offensive versus defensive bludgers. There are other referees who run 3 ARs and an off-ball quaffle ref. The head refs run their systems because they have felt that it works and they're used to it. So make sure you understand the system you're being asked to run and that you are used to watching it. You understand what's going to be used. Now that the referee meeting has happened, it's not the time to wander off yet. Once the referee meeting's happened, it is all downhill. It's a downhill, easy slide into the start of the game. Everything is just going to ramp into the start of the game. So after the referee meeting comes an equipment check. This is twofold. The first thing is checking your own equipment. You'll see on the right side of the screen is a tier list of what to wear when refereeing at any position. If you are refereeing, and in this case, I'm only considering the referees on the field, that's the head referee and the 4 assistant referees, the absolute best thing to be wearing is a zebra stripes referee jersey. So even this hockey jersey, the orange armbands, that's excellent. Referee jersey like this, excellent. With the black collar, excellent. What have you, a zebra stripes ref jersey is the best thing to be wearing. If you don't have a zebra stripes ref jersey, all you have is a referee jersey from a different sport that is non-zebra stripes. So for example, an NBA ref jersey, this is AFL ref jersey, or a soccer jersey, or this is a water polo ref jersey. That's the next best thing. It's still recognized as a referee jersey, but it's not a zebra stripes jersey, which is what Quidditch referees are used to wearing, and what Quidditch referees are asked to wear are the zebra stripes. If you don't have one of these, I know a lot of places, a lot of tournaments offer the referee pennies. That's the next best option, which is the referee penny. They don't look super professional, but they're better than nothing. So wearing the zebra stripes means that everyone around knows, okay, that's our referee. They don't have a ref jersey, but they are a referee. Okay, I'm with you on that. And so this becomes the best option if you don't have either of these two. If you don't have any access to referee jerseys or zebra stripes, the best thing to wear is in a plain color jacket, t-shirt, hoodie, what have you, coat. Is something plain colored with no real big writing or logos on it. So a plain black hoodie, plain white, plain red, plain green, purple, anything that isn't yellow, because that's for the snitch. That's the next best thing to wear. If you do not have any of those things, the next best option is a jersey or t-shirt of a team which isn't playing. So pick a team that's not playing in that tournament. So for example, if you were reffing Tufts versus Texas, you could wear a jersey for a team that isn't in that game. So you could wear a Maryland jersey or a UCal jersey, right? You could wear all those sides of things, but you don't want to wear Texas or Tufts gear when you're reffing Texas versus Tufts. So you want to wear a jersey or t-shirt of a team which isn't playing. That's like the lowest level of acceptable. Then the next tier is unacceptable. So this bottom tier is things you should never be doing, which is wearing a jersey of a team which is playing. So if you're refereeing the College of Worcester, you don't want to wear a Worcester jersey. If you're refereeing the University of Maryland, you don't want to wear a Maryland jersey or any Maryland gear. If you're refereeing Texas State, you don't want to wear any Texas State gear. If you're refereeing Team USA, you don't want to wear any USA gear. If you're refereeing France, you don't want to wear any French gear. Okay? You want to keep this out. Now, in terms of what's acceptable at different levels of tournaments, if you're refereeing a local tournament or a local round robin type of deal, there's no bracket games, there's no championship at stake, it's a local event, then anything from here up is fine. Anything from here up is fine. And really, this does come down a lot to the discretion of the tournament director. This is just my personal opinion. If you're refereeing a regional tournament or interregional tournament, and you are reffing in sort of like a regional championship or an interregional big tournament, and you are reffing in the pool play area, then anything from here up is going to be just about fine. You really want to stay away from this, especially because there's just so many teams at the tournament that you really don't want to show any sort of favor towards one region over another or one team over another. You really want to stick with anything from here up. Once you get into bracket play at those regional championships or interregional championships, really you should be wearing some sort of referee jersey or zebra stripes. Once you start getting into the high-level tournaments, we're talking national championships or international championships, you really should be wearing either a well-known non-zebra referee jersey, so I'm talking like the FIFA ref jersey or the NBA jersey, or really the zebra stripes jersey, once you get all the way up to there. So now that we've discussed all of the jerseys that referees should wear, let's discuss how to check what the teams are wearing. So typically in an equipment check, both teams line up on either side of the midline, and they just line up shoulder to shoulder facing each other. As an assistant referee, there's about 5 things to check for, and of course any other illegal equipment, but there's about 5 things to check for. So the first is you're going to check their cleats for metal. So you walk around their backs, and you check the cleats for metal. So they're going to stick one cleat up, you check, make sure there's no metal, and continue on. And then once you get to the end of the line, you turn around, you're going to come back down the inside of the lines, facing the teams, and you're going to check 4 things. You're going to check their wrists for bracelets. The reason why we don't allow bracelets is twofold. The first is if someone's wearing a bracelet and someone goes to swat a ball out of their hand and gets their finger caught in the bracelet, they could break their finger. It's very possible. It's not at all unlikely. You really want to they really should be wearing bracelets. The other issue is that if they have a really strong bracelet or maybe even like a metal bracelet or one of those medical alert bracelets, and one of those gets grabbed and pulled, what can happen is that the metal can be sharp enough to cut a vein on their wrist. And those veins bleed a lot. So you really don't want anyone bleeding on your field. So you don't want anything on their wrist that can either be pulled and break a finger, or that can be pulled and end up cutting something in their wrist or breaking a blood vessel in their wrist. So you really don't want anything on their wrists. Around the necks, you're checking the necks for necklaces. While contact to the head and neck is illegal, it does occasionally happen. A player stumbles and ends up going down, and boom, a hand ends up around their head, around their neck. These things kind of happen. Or maybe someone just chooses to make an illegal play. It happens. It happens. You have to be ready for that. If someone's wearing a necklace, they could be choked and brought to the ground in a horse collar type of tackle and brought straight to the ground. Before, you want to check their ears for earrings. In the same vein that touching heads is illegal, people still do it occasionally, either on accident, incidentally, or intentionally, they do it. So you really don't want earrings getting ripped out of people's ears. That's going to hurt a lot. Now, that's really the only earrings and nose rings are really the only piercings you can check for, but you really don't want, if you're a player, please don't have nipple rings or belly button rings or any other types of rings or piercings on you, because if something happens and one of those gets ripped out, it's going to be a really bad day for everyone, especially you, but also everyone. Last thing is check to see if they have a mouth guard. Do they have a mouth guard? Are they holding up a mouth guard that looks like it's theirs? Excellent. They're good to go. I know some referees ask players to put them in to check them. I don't personally, but more power to you. Now, taping jewelry is a contentious issue. I'm going to tell you what the rulebook says. The rulebook says that you cannot just tape jewelry. You cannot tape over earrings. You cannot tape over bracelets. You cannot tape over anything. You do not want that stuff taped over for several reasons. Number one, tape can fall off, and now you've just got exposed jewelry. Number two, it can still get grabbed. The tape itself could get grabbed and then pulled, and then we have the same issues of breaking fingers or cutting the people wearing it. You cannot have taped piercings or jewelry in a game. You have to take those out before the game starts. Very few tournaments are ever surprises to people. It's not like people are suddenly awoken at 6 a.m. saying, hey, you're coming to this tournament. So if you're going to a tournament, at several days before, please practice taking out your jewelry, taking off your jewelry, or go to USQ and and ask for a waiver. File for a waiver to be allowed to wear that, and then the referees will be happy to let you wear it. But please do one of those two things so that the referees don't have to be the bad guys. It is the rule. It is entirely about player safety. You cannot wear that jewelry on the field. If you wear it on the field, it's an ejection. All right. So you've checked players for their equipment. You have told the ones with jewelry to go take it off. You have dealt with everyone who says they can't take it off. You've told them, sorry, you got to take it off one way or another. You can't wear it. Okay. One way or another, you've dealt with all of this. Now you're done with the equipment check. So what comes next is that you have to prepare the field. So to prepare the field, you need to gather the game balls. That's 1 quaffle and 3 bludgers. You have to ensure they're all inflated appropriately for the weather conditions. If it is wet out, they're going to be harder to grab. They might need to be underinflated a little bit so that the players can actually grab them. If it is really hot out, right, you don't want the game balls to overinflate throughout the game, so you might take a little bit of air out of them as well. If it's really cold, you might inflate them a little bit more to get them a little bit rounder. Whatever the weather conditions are, you have to compensate for them appropriately. Then you ensure agreement among the head referee and the team captains as to which game balls to use. So once you've got the game balls, you've got the 4, make sure the head referee and the team captains approve. As a head referee, my only question is the quaffle of volleyball, are the bludgers dodgeballs, are they the right size? Great. But I know teams really care about the grip. They care a ton about the grip on those balls, so you really want to make sure that the teams agree. Once you've got everyone agreeing, place them at the appropriate marks. You can consult the rulebook for this, but the quaffle and 1 bludger go 3 yards on either side of the midpoint. The other 2 bludgers, 9 yards on either side of the midpoint. Last but not least, you're going to gather and place the brooms for each team. So you're going to grab 6 brooms and put them behind the keeper zone line for one team, 6 brooms behind the keeper zone line for the other team, and 1 broom for each team at the scorekeeper's table. Now, some teams might take their brooms into their huddles, into their chants. Make sure you account for those. Look at the huddle and go, yeah, they got 1 over there in the huddle. All right, they only need 5 more. Right? Oh, they got 3 over in the huddle. They only need 3 more. Okay? Make sure you just do that math. So now that you've got the field prepared, you've showed up for the game, you've had the referee meeting, you've done the equipment check of yourself and of the teams, you have done the field preparation. The next thing is to start the game. It's just to get the game started. When you're starting the game, I know I personally do this. I don't know how many other refs do it, but I do this. I assign every referee one particular thing to watch just for the start of the game, for the brooms up. These assignments generally rely on the referee's confidence and experience as to which assignment they get. The assignments, in order of the confidence and experience, is that the most confident referee in calling physical contact fouls is going to watch my contested bludger on the field. The referee most confident calling beats will be watching the uncontested bludgers on brooms up. And then last but not least, the other 2 ARs that are left are going to watch the starting lines. They are going to be watching the starting lines, looking for false starts, and helping to control players if they are too far ahead, move them back a little bit, and those sorts of things. To take a look at what the start of game looks like. Looking here, you can see that this is a standard setup. So you've got a lead AR, a snitch ref, 2 ARs, and then you've got 2 beaters on each team, 3 chasers, and a keeper on each team. You have 3 bludgers, and then the quaffle is green there in the center. Now, in this case, the LAR told me I am the most confident watching for physical contact fouls. And I said, okay, great. I want you to watch the contested bludger on brooms up. Looking at this field, the contested bludger can be seen right here, right behind the head referee, which means the lead AR is going to have to move in to see it. So they're going to see this chaser, and they're going to not want to block them, so they're going to move all the way past them. They see this bludger is not being contested from that side of the field, so they can move even further in, and then they definitely don't want to be blocking the chaser here on brooms up. That's wholly unfair. So the LAR is going to move in, so they're not blocking this chaser, and so they have a better angle on this contested bludger. If the LAR notices early enough, hey, the contested bludger is actually all the way on the other side of the field, they might swing all the way around to here to watch it. That's fine as long as after the play resolves, they hustle back to what their position is supposed to be and they're covering their zone again. Now, after I assigned the LAR, I said, who's most confident calling beats? And the snitch referee said, I am. So they're going to watch the uncontested bludgers on brooms up. This snitch referee watches this uncontested bludger on brooms up, and then they need to also watch this one. So they're going to shift back and down a little bit. Not enough to block this beater. They're not that far forward, but they're going to shift in a little bit so they can have a better view of this bludger all the way down here. Last but not least are the 2 assistant referees. After I've assigned those other ones, the 2 assistant referees tell me that they need to watch, or I tell them they're going to watch the starting line. So you're going to watch the starting line on brooms up, looking for false starts, and before I call brooms up, I need you to make sure everyone's behind the line. So once the referees get into positions, they would look like this. Now, over there on the bottom left, you can see that AR sees a beater is in front of the line. What they would then say at that point is, hey, beater, move back a little bit. Back up a step or two. And the beater says, okay, I got you. And they move back. I would much rather the ref did that than let the player get a blue card for some garbage, right? So that sort of thing. The ARs are still watching the starting lines down here. The other ARs moved in to watch the contested bludger, and the snitch ref has moved down so they can see both uncontested bludgers. And that's really the start of the game. So once we call brooms up, that's where the referees are, and then they fall back into their zones to watch the rest of the game. So I hope you learned a little or maybe a lot. Please like and subscribe and leave a comment if you have questions or comments or ideas or suggestions for future videos. In these uncertain times here in the COVID-19 pandemic, please stay safe and healthy out there.